They said she should have known something wasn't right because the whole biscuit slid down her throat. Peace and blessings, kings and queens. I'm J. Quad
And
Davis,
I am Nicholas Fletcher.
and welcome to another episode of Let the Beat Build, bitch. That's not the. I was just letting the suspense build. Sound like somebody choking a damn cat.
It's my favorite podcast.
That is absolutely the name of this episode.
This episode. Yeah, we're just gonna do right out the gate. There's the name.
This is the Young Old Heads podcast, the podcast where we talk about a little bit of everything and a whole lot of nothing. Today is a little different because we're recording on a Saturday as opposed to our typical Friday. I guess lately we kind of been all over the place. We just do it on the weekend at some point
And drop it on Monday.
Yeah. So basically, that's how it usually goes. It's been a nice day, man. Nice Saturday. Nick here had a nice little barbecue at his house, and the food was delicious. Thank you. Especially Nick was on the grill, and he's a vegetarian, but you made some great beef burgers, my friend.
I appreciate that.
They
Thank
were
you.
very tasty.
Little known fact, I actually don't grill that often, so
Really?
just like the fact that I hopped on there and was like, let's do
Yeah,
this.
man. It's seasoned. They were seasoned well and everything. And my kid, my son's here too. He's somewhat of a picky eater, and he liked his a lot too. So you definitely did your thing, man.
I'll take it. Thank you.
But okay, so we're actually gonna start off on something kind of somber here.
Right.
So
I was going to use the word somber. On a somber note.
a somber note, yeah. Something real serious. And it's crazy because people who listen to us probably think a joke's gonna follow this, but it's absolutely not. So we don't know what the status is gonna be by the time this episode goes out, but as of right now, legendary rapper DMX suffered from an overdose and is in what they described as grave condition. Which, oh man, I've seen it described as grave condition. I've seen somebody say critical condition.
Yeah, unresponsive.
Unresponsive. I've seen one DJ Academics, which I know neither me nor you is a fan of,
Yeah.
said he was brain dead, and that's the only place I've heard those words. So I don't know.
Which I feel like he's very much the type of character that would say something for clicks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like even in like such a dark
Yeah, I used to actually be a fan of his, but he just, I don't know, man. I lost a lot of respect for DJ Academics, but
Anyway,
forget that. We're talking about a legendary rapper here, man. DMX, man. He was my favorite rapper for a lot of my childhood, bro. Like he was the pinnacle to me, above Jay-Z, Nas.
I vividly when we were younger, like vividly remember you like idolizing.
Yeah, DMX was my dude, man. Like you couldn't tell me nothing about him. And it's crazy how I actually became a fan because my cousin Tyree, may he rest in peace. I think I've mentioned him before.
Yeah.
But the summer that It's Dark and Hell is Hot, DMX's debut album, the summer that came out, he played it all summer, man. So I knew like so by the time like school started the next year, I knew every song pretty much. And it's crazy because the way artists used to do things, they would so an album would come out and you would get singles for like that whole year pretty much. Every 2 months or so a new single would come out. And so every time a new single come out, I knew it already because I had heard the album all
already.
summer.
Yeah.
You know, and just ever since then, he was just like the top of the top to me. I don't know. I think it's crazy because looking back, you think it's kind of wild that this dude got, you know, he was like barking and stuff.
Yeah, and like
That nobody else could have pulled that off. But I think
you're 100% right.
Yeah, I think it's just that there's an authenticity about him, man, and he actually absolutely he's not no master lyricist, but he has some great concepts.
He's also no slouch though.
No slouch. No slouch. He's not.
He is a top tier lyricist.
He is.
He
is. I just mean
lines,
like in a technical sense.
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
you
like
know,
in a technical level,
but he's definitely a great lyricist. I just mean like in a technical sense, like say like somebody like how somebody like Biggie or Jay-Z might manipulate words and stuff. He didn't do that sort of thing, but still phenomenal. Commands your attention, man. Like and just
delivery, like nobody else.
Concepts. A great underrated storyteller too.
Anthem maker.
Absolutely,
get
absolutely.
you pumped up for some.
Yes. Bruh, my gym playlist, there was like 40 DMX songs on there, you know, because he just bring you that energy. But he could also give you something like the song he did for his grandma,
Yeah, something.
or like a love story or something, you know. And then he even he had one song called is it One More Road to Cross? That's a dope song. He has another one, I forget the name of it, but it's off of his third album. And he was basically telling the story of being a hitman. And
Yeah, yeah, I remember.
you know, and it's just a fire concept. But beyond all that, man, he struggled with addiction for a long time, and the worst part about that is to find out how he got addicted. Like, so those who don't know, he's battled with alcoholism, but also a crack addiction. And the worst part about that is he didn't just get up one day and decide, hey, let me
I'm
try
smoking
this
crack.
crack. Yeah, like that's not how it happened. He actually was smoking weed with somebody. They put
Oh, and
crack
they laced
in the
it.
blunt, yeah, and smoked it with him. It's like, bro, how the fuck?
You
Like,
can do
what
that
type
somewhere.
of, what would even possess you to be like, yeah, spice this blunt
Yeah,
up?
like
You know,
I'm just yeah.
it's crazy. So that's how his addiction, and it sucks because I believe it was last year sometime he checked himself into rehab, you know, and he had appeared to be doing good, was looking healthier, put on
No,
some
it
weight,
was working on new music. Had like
working
it
on
kind
new
of like
music.
seemed like this comeback
Yeah.
was happening.
Yeah, and then you know, there's no telling. They said whatever. I'm not. They haven't at this point haven't said what the drugs were he OD'd on, but it triggered a heart attack, and that's why he's in the condition he's in currently. But I'm really hoping he pulls through. You know, and if he does, maybe this will be what needed to happen to for him to, you know, really get things on track. I don't know. I don't even want to say that, but I really just hope
I know where you're
he
coming from.
pulls through it and keeps it moving, man. You know.
So I feel like with DMX, I think that you obviously have like a more tender spot in your heart, just in the sense that you're such a big fan.
Yeah.
And I'm a very big fan of his, but like you were on a different level of
Yeah.
fandom. For me, just for him being a hip hop legend, there's obviously that I have vivid memories of his music
Yeah.
that can like time encapsulate an era of my like childhood.
Right.
I remember listening to when the movie Cradle to the Grave came out.
Yeah.
It's him and Jet Li and like X Gonna Give It to You.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
and that
big
was
song, big
I
song.
remember like that was one of my favorite songs of all time. You could play it today. Like you could
Yeah.
put me in the gym and put me on like the bench press, and if you play that song, I'm gonna get like 20 more pounds on them. So
Yeah,
it's just-
that's one of the songs that are on my
it
my
gets
gym
me.
playlist.
But like in the same vein as that I want to discuss is people out there who are struggling with addiction because of it was really unfortunate, like you said, that he looked like he was doing so well,
Yeah.
went to rehab, and then kind of fell back into it. And I think that it's so hard to put into words. Like, I think somebody from an outside perspective, when they hear about addiction, like for instance, smoking, it used to boggle my mind. People
Yeah.
would smoke because I'd be like, man, like it's killing you. It's
Yeah.
like a scientific proven fact that it's killing you, but they
Absolutely.
continue to do so. Me not being a smoker, my mindset was stop doing
Yeah,
it.
just stop
Like
doing
stop
it. Yeah.
doing it. It's killing you.
Doesn't work that way.
And it really doesn't. Addiction doesn't work that way. And it's so unfortunate that he wasn't able to escape from it and succumb to it again. So anybody listening who may be struggling with addiction and doesn't know what the right move is or the right step is, like, yo, you should really talk to somebody. Like
Absolutely.
like whoever, even if it's not in a professional setting, the closest person to you right now, because I think we were just talking about it before the cast started. People don't really start worrying about their health until their health is a problem. That makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
So
This is true, man. I know addiction is a very serious thing, man. It's always wild to me how those people from the outside looking in are just like, oh, whatever.
Stop doing it.
Just stop. I've got willpower. It never happened.
it's
to me.
bad for you. Yeah.
Like I very much believe. I've seen people debate about it, but I very much believe addiction is a disease.
Oh yeah.
And I think in some scenarios, like it's almost like a disease. It's almost like you contract the disease by trying whatever. You know what I mean? But I do think it's, you know, there's genetics involved in everything because addiction absolutely runs in my family. And I think I've also got like somewhat of a habit forming / addictive personality. I actually was a smoker for like over a decade.
Yeah, I remember.
And I thank goodness I was able to just, you know, give it up. But And then I've just seen people like I love and respect with addiction issues. So I think I have a different perspective on it. Like it doesn't make anybody less of a good person to me, you know. But I think a lot of people who are addicted, I think, tend to have a hard time dealing with reality
Yeah, absolutely.
and whatever
Well, a lot of
they're.
times, like exactly what you're like talking about is it's their coping mechanism.
Yeah, exactly.
It is
Exactly.
their therapy.
Yes, it is their escape from the
Yeah,
harsh
escape is a
realities of
perfect,
life.
yeah,
So,
perfect definition for it.
so you know, and like I said, I've seen people I admire to death just struggle with these same sort of things, and so
Same. I have a friend, and there's no point in not talking about it. But I have a childhood friend I grew up with who is going to prison again right now for heroin
oh
again,
gosh,
and it's like the third strike, I think. And it's so unfortunate because this is a person who's had every opportunity to turn their life around.
yeah,
And so you have that as a friend, you have this part of you that's angry at them for
yes,
like, how many chances do you need?
yeah,
And then, but at the same time, like you don't it's really like you said, it's like
yeah,
it is like a disease.
yeah, absolutely,
It grips you, holds on to you once you're. It's just and I think a lot of times. So one of my favorite people in the world that I pray I can meet one day is Steve-O from Jackass.
hmm
Have I told you about and talked about him much?
yeah. We actually talked about
On the
him,
cast?
yeah, a little bit on,
Do we?
on
Yeah.
how he got clean and
Oh
stuff.
yeah. So yeah, in that vein, and it kind of fell in with him. He talked about how overcoming it was just this insurmountable odds, but he came to the crossroads when he went to like rehab and he willingly committed himself
Yeah,
that it was that or death.
yeah.
And it was literally
See,
the
and I
choice
think
between.
that's for some people they don't get to that point where it's like, okay, I really gotta, it sucks because it's like one of them things like you gotta do it when you're ready, and some people are never ready and they hit rock bottom and go even
Yeah.
lower,
I think
so
a lot of people with addiction think that they can manage addiction.
yeah,
So we'll take an alcoholic, for example. An alcoholic who, when you're addicted to alcohol, in reality, you should, and I'm talking addicted, not just have a drink every now and again
yeah,
and can do it in a healthy, like social setting or something. I'm talking somebody who requires it like every single
daily,
day, yeah,
yeah,
daily. That person, when they quit, should quit
yeah,
because you obviously it's not a good mix for you. It's like too tempting.
yeah. You can't
You
just
end up finding those alcoholics who are going to quit and they're like, oh, I'll have one drink a night or one drink a week, and even if that goes great for a month,
yeah.
you start to
I can maybe do one
yeah,
more.
it
I've
starts
been
to
doing
cascade back into that
I've
problem.
been doing good.
And so I think that's with addiction is the people who think they can manage their addiction.
Yeah.
And I think drugs probably fall in the same vein because people might, even the hardcore stuff, like, oh, I can do meth like
Yeah,
just a
I
couple
can
times,
just try it.
just real quick, like I don't do it every day.
I
You know,
didn't
like,
get addicted the first time. I can try it again. You know what's
yeah,
crazy, man? Is actually you were talking about a childhood friend who has had issues with heroin. A good friend of mine from childhood, he was doing meth, bro. Like from the time we were like age 13. He had started with that, and to this day, last I knew, he was in prison again, and he's spent most of his adult life in prison. Like, would get out and still get back into the same stuff. He even at one point in time, he had the opportunity to make a lot of money in the oil field, and he took advantage of that for a while, and eventually, like I don't know, just he decided he wanted more money, so got into the meth stuff, and it breaks my heart, man, because I'm like, bro, we're so much older than we were back when you tried it. Like your mind state hasn't changed at all.
exactly.
Like you don't want to do better. You got children. You don't want to move forward
And
and do something different.
that is a whole nother dynamic because a lot of times you'll see somebody who grew up in that environment and even succumbed to it and maybe was an addict, and you'll see somebody who may like pulled themselves out of that life,
Yeah.
and then they're older, they're more seasoned, they're more knowledge, and seeing their perspective from like being in and then getting outside.
Yeah.
It's they're two different people.
Yeah.
They're the people that like I can't like they
think-
talk about like how it's like just a bottomless pit, and
Right.
it's wild.
Absolutely. I think for me personally, man, I was lucky because, like, I was on the wrong side of the law briefly, like in my early teens. You know, it's almost like I got all the bad stuff out of my system and then kind of got my head on straight, you know. So
Mm.
even like by the age 15, 16, I was kind of the voice of reason. Like, why would we do this?
Yeah,
Like,
you guys, hey,
like
we
this
have a
would
whole lot of life ahead
this
of
would be
us.
dumb as
Let's not.
hell. And then I just, you know, also that and just trying to be honest about stuff. Like actually, that same friend I was just talking about, his dad thought I was like a bad influence. Like so, I started hanging out with this guy as he was getting into trouble, and
Oh, the correlation
yeah,
just by
yeah.
happenstance.
So his dad thought I was the bad influence on him, and just like kind of side eyed me, and like just didn't really want me around. And then so they had a camper next to their house, and one day me and this friend were in this camper smoking weed. We're like 13 at the time, bro.
You heathen.
And so we're in there smoking weed, and they, his parents, like smell it, and, you know, they run us up out of there, and they're like, so they bring us in the house and like sit us down and ask us about it, like be straight with us. What were you guys doing in there? And my friend, he lied. He was like, "Oh no, he wasn't doing. He
hanging
wasn't
out.
to me." And then the dad asked me, and I looked him in the eye. He said, "Jay, were you guys using marijuana in there?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah, we were." And like from that day forward, like he had all the respect in the world for me
Oh,
he knew.
because you just owned up to it.
Yeah, I just owned up to it and told him like what was legitimately happening. So he also realized that I wasn't the negative influence on his son, and it was more of the other way around. But
Yeah.
I was headstrong enough to not really, you know, to eventually just kind of realize that okay, I got love for this dude, but
It's really cool.
we're going nowhere fast.
Yeah, it's really cool that you can do that because a big problem of mine that I'm working on, and I'm getting better at being honest, but I scapegoat a lot.
Scapegoat. You look like a scapegoat. Oh, so basically Nick be lying and blaming stuff on other people.
Yeah, if anybody doesn't know what scapegoating is, it's when, let's say, you make plans with somebody a week in advance, decide, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
They get a hold you night of, and instead of just being totally honest and saying, I don't want to go hang out with you,
Yeah.
it's, I can't, my dog is sick, or
Oh, my God.
my girlfriend really wants to have a night in tonight.
I gotta shave my back.
I got to wash my feet
I
tonight.
gotta wash my feet. Yeah, well, I mean, I kind of get it to an extent. I'm not saying it's okay, but who's gonna be like, nah, bro, I just don't want to hang out with you anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you know, but I mean, I guess you could say something to kind of soften the
Well, I
blow,
think
like,
that it could even be as simple as I'm really not feeling it. It could be that simple. Like, hey man,
Yeah,
I
I
know
think
that
I'm just-
we made the plans a week ago, but I'm drained, man.
yeah,
Work's
bro,
been
I'm
wild.
tired. I'm gonna just stay in tonight.
Yeah,
like,
and I'm.
now I would probably make fun of you for that, but I would understand.
I
you know,
mean,
like,
you.
it's-
One day we're gonna have to read our text messages on the cast because Jay is
Don't do
really,
that.
really mean to me.
Don't do
everybody.
that because a lot of people think I'm a decent person.
they're gonna see through the veil real fast. Jay
I
said
of-
what?
I often refer to Nick as women's names, such as Janet and Barbara. I've been doing that at work lately too. Shut up, Barbara.
Called me Janet yesterday. Texted me.
But no, the scapegoating thing, man. I don't know.
Do
I
you
don't-
think you do it often? Truly, like, can you really?
I don't know if I'd say often.
Here's
I
the
think
thing.
I definitely do it. There's no question of
I'm
that.
outing myself right now because any of my like really close friends that listen, but I feel like my close friends probably know when I'm scapegoating and they've
Yeah.
just accepted it. But it's just a problem that I have, and I will say I'm getting better at it, but I just hated taking accountability for like maybe like foiling plans or bailing out.
Yeah.
So I just had some reason, and which really sucks because I started thinking about all the times people probably scapegoated on me.
Oh yeah.
And I hate that when I have like plans. That's my plan. Like I got ready for this. This is my like here's what's going on tonight. And last minute, because that's what I'm notorious for.
Yeah.
I'm notorious for like night of, oh shoot, can't make it, you know.
Dang, oh, my
Yeah.
nipples hurt.
That's the best scapegoat. Oh, your nipples,
bro,
Yeah,
my-
real talk.
tender-
If somebody scapegoated you with that, you're not going to question.
Bro,
You're
my
just gonna be
tender
like, oh,
nipples,
okay.
My nipples are tender. I don't want to
I can't-
partake in.
I can't leave tonight. Can't even put a shirt on.
I'm gonna stay home and ice my nipples, bro. I'm not,
Can't even wear a shirt tonight, man.
I don't want cloth on my nipples right now.
I can't even let the
But
wind
I
touch
think
them.
so is it still scapegoating if, so do you have to be being dishonest for it to be scapegoating?
What I feel like scapegoating would be you not wanting to do something, so you're
Okay.
trying to cancel plans,
Right.
and it's as simple as you truly just don't want to do it, and you scapegoat with anything else.
Okay.
I don't want to hang out with you tonight, but I got to wake up early for work, even if you don't have to. I don't want to I
So
don't
what if
want to
it's-
hang out tonight.
but-
But
oh, yeah, I would.
my wife said,
I would, but I gotta get this laundry done. So what if you could actually put the laundry off, but you do decide to do the laundry, and then you don't hang out with whoever?
you might have just found a loophole, I guess.
Yeah.
So you can basically just set your life up to where you just have a load of laundry always waiting.
Always got. I gotta
Just
do
always.
this laundry.
Yeah. But
I only do 10 garments at a time.
I'm a conservationist. No, but
I wash them by hand.
at what point do your friends stop inviting you to stuff when
Yeah.
you're like, hey,
And
you want to
then
go
you
to a
go-
movie, and it's like laundry,
And then,
laundry.
and then you gonna be bad because you're not getting invited. But it's like, bro, you always gotta wash a sock or two. Like, what are we supposed to?
I'm actually going to give you credit right now, just so everybody on the cast knows. Jay and I hang out for the podcast a lot, and sometimes we hang out not for the podcast, but often I invite Jay to hang out with me in a friend setting. Hey, you want to see a movie with me? Hey, Jay, you want to go out to lunch tonight? Hey, Jay, we should go to dinner. And Jay will not scapegoat me. He will just honestly tell me, nope, don't want to do that.
Well, I don't do it like that, bro.
Well, you don't,
Like,
but
I mean,
you just
like a lot of times you'll hit me up. So Sunday is my day that I usually do my cleaning, my meal prep, and getting stuff together for the work week, which usually takes a good chunk of the day away, and then working out and what have you.
You work out? I would never.
What are you trying to say?
I'm just saying that shirt is like 3 sizes too small.
This is an extra medium.
Extra medium.
it's an extra
Could you
medium.
imagine a company that make clothes extra medium?
I don't know, man. They got like an extra. They be having an extra small, and I'm just like, who is that for?
A really
and,
small
and
person?
men's too. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, who? Like you really? But anyway, where was I going? Oh yeah, like I don't. I mean, here's the thing, man. Like I absolutely do want to hang out, but I'm not really the type you can just spring stuff on
That's
me.
another big
You
problem.
know,
of
so
mine.
I think that's the biggest thing. Like you notice whenever we be like, okay, 2 days we're gonna go to
Yeah,
lunch or
yeah.
whatever. That's usually when I'm down, but.
I
I just
will
can't
say-
do the last minute thing.
in your defense, I'm notoriously bad for last minute plans.
Yeah.
I'm very much the guy. I live my life on like a swivel. I'm just like, what's going on
Yeah,
today,
what's
you know?
up?
And so I will be the guy that will, in a moment, call somebody like, hey, movie, and they'll be like, when? I'll be like right now, like it starts in 15 minutes. I'm
Yeah.
on my way, and I'll have friends, and then I will be salty that I'm like, man, my friends always bail on me, and they're like, yeah, bro, you told me 6 minutes before the plans were supposed to happen.
Bro, you told me 30 seconds.
Hey man,
before-
game night. When? It's going on right now. You should come over.
We're about halfway through. If you wanna-
You want to come over? Yeah, I'm really bad at just spontaneous. I just suck at. I don't know if it's an anxiety thing, but like planning something.
Yeah.
So if I was like, hey, this Friday we're going to a movie, that'd be fine. But I'm more so the guy that I'm like, well, but I could go like right now. Like,
Yeah.
There's one at like 6:50.
I
I'll
just
just go.
remember, like, if it's like, oh yeah, let's go work out together tomorrow. It's like, okay, cool, we do that, or let's go to lunch tomorrow, man. You down? Yeah, whatever. We'll
I
just do
have
that.
most of my recent plans have just been just cannon,
But yeah,
out of
you-
a cannon barrel right at you.
Yeah,
Like,
you
Jay, hang out with me.
I think you did hit me up, like telling me a movie started in like a half hour.
It was,
or so.
yeah.
I'm like,
It
bro,
was that.
what? I got chicken in the oven. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? But yeah, I believe in trying my best to be transparent with that sort of stuff, man. Because I've learned that even if you're just honest with people, they tend to trust you. You know.
Oh, 100%.
Like, you know, if you
and
just-
also, just I feel for your soul, your consciousness. It's just healthy and therapeutic.
Yeah, and like you lie about some shit, and then they see
And
you
get
at
caught,
the, and they see you at
yes.
the grocery store. Now if you've got any type of decency and conscience, you are probably gonna be like, well, hey, wait, let me explain. I had to come get these Snickers ice cream bars.
Exactly. Yeah, and you have to make up the lie on the
Yeah,
spot.
like
My
it's
grandma had called, and what had happened? Her denture cream.
like, see, then you got to keep lying to keep the lie going. And
Yes.
then wires
Dude,
get crossed.
Dane Cook has a joke about that, about canceling plans with a lie and then getting caught in the lie and then making the lie bigger until it's just this outlandish, like just obviously.
Oh gosh, yeah, but I don't know, I just usually try to be like, oh no, I'm good.
You know what
No,
really
I'm
sucks
good.
now, though, to anybody listening? I don't always scapegoat because I own a business, I'm a husband, I have children. Often, plans get canceled for
Yeah.
legitimate reasons.
Absolutely,
So I don't always scapegoat. So I hope
mean-
people, like, if I'm ever like, yo, I got to take my kid to the ER or something like that, they're like, you lying at, you know?
Or
like,
yeah, or like when we plan on doing the podcast, and you're like, bro, I'm worn out. Like, I firmly believe that because you got two children, you run a business, you're running around all day, so stuff like that. I totally, it's like there's nothing to question here. Like, imagine me being like, you're tired, huh?
Oh,
Those two energetic kids wear you out, did they?
so providing for your family made you tired, you baby.
Likely story.
Why don't you cry about it?
Oh gosh, that's hilarious. But yeah, man, I tried my best not to do the whole scapegoating thing. I'd be a damn liar if I say I never did, but I just try not. Try to be transparent.
That's where I'm at now. I'm not saying it'll never happen again, but I will try to just
keep it to the absolute minimum.
scapegoat every now and again.
Scapegoatism.
Cool.
A triple synchronous.
All right, so on to the next topic this evening. We have our random fact.
That might be the one.
You like that?
That might be the one.
It'll be different every time, probably.
Okay, yeah, because you ain't gonna remember
the
that
cadence
next
of
time.
every melody that I.
Okay, so are you familiar with what a fire hydrant is, Nicholas?
I think I've heard of them. Yeah.
They're fairly new. You might not have. A fire hydrant.
What now?
You know what's funny? Actually, this has nothing to do with the random fact. But growing up in New York, we called them Johnny pumps.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't know why.
I was about to ask if you ever found out why.
Just the Johnny pump. They gonna go turn on the Johnny pump. And that was part of our summers is they turn them on. We just we blasting water and we just be out there. In
Oh, they
shorts
actually did that?
Yeah.
I feel like I saw stuff like that in like Hey Arnold and didn't think
Bruh,
that was like a real thing.
that was my
They just
life.
had water blasting out.
Yes,
That's cool.
that was my life. And water balloons, water guns. Summers were fun, man, because New York gets really hot in the summer.
Oh, I could imagine.
Really
bro.
hot and really humid. I remember one of the summers as a kid up there. Remember getting up to triple digits. They called it the heat wave, and it was like a good 4 days of triple digits.
Oof.
And then
Just outside, just in some swim shorts.
Yeah,
blasted
just hot.
by
You know what sucked,
a
though?
Johnny pump.
the Johnny pump.
That don't sound
Somebody
right.
come out with the pipe wrench. Think about it now. It absolutely does not sound right, but that was my childhood. And somebody come out with the pipe wrench and get it
Bust
going.
it open,
Yeah,
yeah.
bust it open and fucking.
Wait, so did you have to be authorized to do so, or they just did it?
Oh, they just did it, but eventually, cops or
Okay.
the housing authority would come and turn it off
Okay.
eventually. But usually, you get a couple hours out of it.
I feel like who they gonna if they don't catch you on camera, who they gonna blame for it?
No, but I never seen anybody get in trouble for it. But yeah, it was the good old days, man. I even remember 2003, summer 2003. There was a blackout on the whole East Coast. Those were crazy / scary times in New York.
Oh, bro.
Like, 'cause it was hot, no power, nothing.
Everybody is just grumpy.
Yeah, it's dark. I actually remember my same cousin I was just talking about earlier, Tyree. I was so there was the hallways were dark, everything, and they just had near my grandma's apartment a bunch of candles created a little walkway so you could see the path to her door. And he had walked into the building a few feet ahead of me, but I don't think he ever saw that I was behind him. Mm-hmm. And so he's walking to the door, and I'm a few feet behind him, getting ready to come in the house too. Mm-hmm. And he like just, you know, in New York, people are typically on edge. Like you can't trust nobody, you know. So he like thought somebody was like sneaking up on him. So he grabs a candle and I'm shirtless. It's summer in New York.
Yes,
in the middle of the day. I'm shirtless. He grabs a candle that's been burning for hours and throws it on me.
Just hot
throws
wax.
the hot wax on my bare chest.
Oof.
And I was suffering. Oh shit, Jay, my bad. Damn, come on, you right? Damn, you know. And I mean, I understood why it happened, so I wasn't like upset or nothing.
I could picture him walking down a dark ass hallway with just candles barely lighting things up.
Like I mean, it's definitely
It's
understandable.
like the stories I told you when I did security, bro. I was in those big buildings. There'd be a hallway with 5 lights. The center light would be on. Everything looked like a haunted house, man. It was, the mind will play tricks real fast.
Absolutely. So, yeah, and, you know, I definitely understood his position, but I had just sucked getting wax off my pants that I had on and stuff.
I just picture right now people being like, what's the random fact?
What's the random, what? No, back to the Johnny Pump.
Johnny Pump.
So, the fire hydrant. There was a patent for the fire hydrant when it was created originally, but you know what happened to the fire hydrant patent?
What?
It was lost in a damn fire. Tell me, tell me that's not ironic.
That is the most
this device created to combat fires. The paperwork for it is lost in the fire. So here I just got a quick little passage about it. So the fire hydrant patent is credited to Frederick Graff Sr., who was the chief engineer for Philadelphia Waterworks during the early 1800s. Unfortunately for Graff Sr., the patent was destroyed when the patent office in Washington, D.C. burned down in 1836. After 100 years,
Whoa.
Retired firefighter George, I'm probably going to butcher this, Segalis, reinvented the hydrant after they had been failing to work in too many critical emergencies. So
like the successful patent for him.
the original patent was destroyed.
Yeah.
And so from what I'm understanding is it was essentially revised years later.
So 100 years later.
Yeah, 100 years later, it was basically reinvented.
So we had 100 years of some janky ass, busted ass
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah, basically.
People are like, can you put my fire out? But it depends on this fire hydrant.
Maybe. We've gotten like 3 out of the last 5. So
It's pretty. I like those odds.
it's, you know, it's more than likely. But is your family out? Cause
It's a 50. I would maybe go gather some personal possessions.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, man. It's just funny how life is crazy like that sometimes. Like,
the ironic stuff you just can't
it's
script.
just, you know, we made this to make sure that we can destroy or get rid of these fires and they don't destroy homes. But the paperwork was destroyed in the fire.
Can you make one for me? Well, I could, but it was actually destroyed in a fire.
The fire just kind of an interesting random fact of the day. Random tandem fandom.
And that was your random fact.
Sure, why not?
All right, so the next topic. This is a hot button right now, bro. Hot. I was about to do this noise as well. You beat me to it. Mine was going to be behind yours, though, so it is like bad.
So much greater than you.
So if I'm just going to throw this out. I think you're the same guy who was just getting his ass whipped at Mortal Kombat as well.
You can't prove that. Show me the documents.
Okay, so this is a hot button, okay? Lil Nas X.
Yeah, Lil Nas X.
Yeah, I like that. So Lil JJ's down here right now, Jay's son, and like I said, Lil Nas X, and he like visually like was like,
yeah, me and him were actually talking about that. I was just curious what he thought about it, and he just be talking about the shoe thing, and he was like, "That is weird."
Yes.
And I concur.
Lil
Nas X.
Give me your perspective on the whole.
So, Lil Nas X, when I first heard of his... So, it's weird how people create a narrative on the internet, right? Like, they said his name was actually created from 3 of his favorite rappers. Mm-hmm. They said it was from Lil Wayne, Nas, and DMX. And when I heard that, I'm like, oh, that's dope. Like, that is very creative. Like... And it turns out that's absolutely not true, like at all. Like I don't know who created that story, but it would.
Oh, it wasn't him?
No,
He didn't co-sign
no.
that? Okay.
It would have actually absolutely been dope. Like I'm like, oh, I can respect that, especially him being so young. I think he's maybe early 20s, uh, but anyway, I'm not personally a fan of the guy's music, but I think, he has every right to be a hip hop artist and, have that representation for the LGBT community. Even though there does seem to be, let's call it what it is, there's homophobia in hip hop.
Oh,
for sure.
absolutely.
And I think it's great that they have somebody like him, to represent and do his thing. But and he's actually hilarious. If
Oh
you've
my
ever
God!
seen
I was just telling somebody
the
that.
way he be trolling
I think it
people,
was
bro.
my mom.
He
because
is
we
funny.
my mom and I often talk about like really politically charged and just socially charged like topics a lot.
Yeah.
And I brought him like we were talking about that and just each other's like views on it. And I brought up to her, I was like, he's actually a super smart kid and
Yeah.
really funny.
Yeah.
If you listen to interviews, he's really sharp and he's great at responding to like haters.
Oh yeah,
He's great at
just clowning people.
Oh,
man.
yeah,
So I think he's
and
hilarious.
owning like people will try to like flame him,
Yeah.
and he'll just flip it around. Like that old adage towards like I'm rubber, you're glue. That's
Yeah,
basically him.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I think like for that, like I said, I'm not wanting to go seek out his music, but his people are weird. They're like bothered by his existence, and I don't understand that. He has every right to do what he wants to, especially in terms of music and
Yeah, I will say, as an artist, not me, but him as an artist, and anybody as an artist, you are not obligated to please anybody.
Exactly.
You are not.
So I don't like I said, it might not be what I'm gonna go listen to, but that don't mean it shouldn't exist. Like it's weird. But so he had the video. I forget the name of the song,
Me
but it's super. It was about a week ago today. It was the hottest topic because of the imagery of him giving Satan a lap dance and all
And like
this.
very, 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 it's
Ridiculous. But basically the message behind that was like, oh, y'all said I'm gonna go to hell because I'm gay, so look, I'm in hell.
Yeah, like what are you mad at?
I'm in hell. What are you? Isn't this what you said was gonna happen? So that I was like, okay. But I thought it was a little extreme with the sneakers, bro.
Yeah.
So for those who are unaware, Lil Nas X released 666 pairs of a custom pair of Nike.
Is that how many there were?
Yeah.
And weren't they $666?
No. They
Okay.
were like $1,100
okay.
a piece. Nike Air Max 97s, limited, and they're supposed to be infused with actual drops of human blood
One
or
drop
a
of
drop.
human
One
blood,
drop is that what it is?
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be
And
one drop
then
of human blood.
they had that. What's that star? What do they call the Satan?
the
Satanic?
pentagram.
Pentagram, and it has that on it, and they're like these demonic sneakers, and him in the ad, he looks all demonic with the red hair and the devilish contacts and all that. And so people were flipping out about that. I'm like, that seems to be a bit extreme, but whatever. I don't want them, but whatever. And so the
I
shoes.
can't afford to. $1,100.
Yeah. And then the shoes sold out in minutes, I guess. And so but the thing is, like, so it appeared that initially he had a deal with Nike,
Which he did not.
and no, he didn't. He had a deal going on with a company that customizes sneakers, and so they sold these sneakers with the Nike logo on them without Nike's permission. And now Nike was like, "Oh no, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no cease and desist." So he might be in some big trouble now because
Nike's a powerhouse.
Absolutely.
And in hindsight, I don't think Nike, let alone most any big shoe company, would have co-signed that.
No.
Regardless of personal beliefs, just because realistically it would be almost like career suicide.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're going to isolate so many people who,
And people are like,
regardless of
"Oh."
what you think, it's just such a.
It's funny. So Nike, they're not going after Lil Nas X, from what I understand.
They're going
suing
after the shoe company.
The shoe company. And somebody was like, "Oh, too late. They already sold out." It's like,
You don't know how this
you
works.
don't
You don't know how a lawsuit works,
You don't
do you?
know what's happening.
That's
here.
like me getting arrested by the cops as I'm leaving Walmart with a TV and be like, too late? I already made it outside, man.
Too late. I already sold all the cocaine.
Yeah, I had it.
I sold it all. What are you gonna do? But it's crazy. Like it's people were saying like he's selling stuff with their logo. He's selling their products.
Yes, yeah.
You can't.
Which
just do
I'm
that.
shocked that as smart as he is, what I'm wondering if maybe he was ignorant to the fact that the shoe company wasn't allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I I would know, even on a small scale. I'm not even in the industry. On a small scale, I feel like I couldn't just jack Nike's swagger. You know, I feel like that would obviously, like, hey, this is going to end up in a like courtroom.
Yeah, obviously, like it's like I don't know. You do have some companies out there who customize Nikes and sell them, but they're usually like really small companies
Almost
under the
obscure.
radar. Yeah. Like you
to where if they were making bank, Nike would step in at some point.
or you might even have some. Well, actually, a lot of places you can. I don't know if it's still this way, but there was a lot of places you could buy some sneakers and you would take them to the place and they would customize them for you. Because I mean, technically, after you bought them,
own the shoe.
they're your sneakers.
Like if I could go buy some Air Max today and do what I Sharpie on them if I wanted.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't think that there's anything stopping me from putting that on eBay.
I mean, I don't know what you would.
I'm gonna.
For that.
It's a lot, dude.
It's actual drops of ice sweat.
Yeah, actually drops of diarrhea.
Infused with liquid diarrhea. Oh my
After
God.
a hearty meal at Taco Bell.
That is disgusting. But
in today's world, that's something that would go viral. Though. Hey,
somebody,
hey, you got them diarrheas on, bro? These are the runs. We call these the runs.
These shoes were infused with actual excrement from NBA YoungBoy. So, gosh, man, his fan base is probably the next super toxic fan base from what I've seen. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. He's just Lil Nas X. I think he kind of. So you notice he always does something or says something. It seems like every so often, and like it's like all eyes are on him after that. So in terms of that, like this is probably a good time for him because I guarantee you he's still breaking records with the streaming and people. That video has, I don't even know how many.
Oh, it's got to be an astronomical.
I'm gonna look and see how many views that video has right now because I know it's just an unfathomable number. Let's see here. There's one. Where's the actual
video right there?
Okay, the actual video came out 1 week ago and has 75 million views.
Good Lord.
So yeah, just an absurd.
That's just the video.
Yeah, that's just the video. Ain't no telling what
the
streams and everything else, and then just impressions in general. People retweeting
reaction videos,
which
has got to be in the millions of views as well.
So it's getting him the attention he wants, you know, but it's just. I seen the thing the other day. He was saying he's actually kind of sad because, like, with Nike getting involved and taking this thing to court, like, it's gonna be a shitstorm. So, you know, so I have no problem with him being successful and stuff, and I understand the message that he was going for. With it's like all you uber religious people have been saying gays are going to hell just for existing. Well, I'm embracing that. So, you know, I'm
going to go to hell and give Satan a lap dance.
Yeah, like, that doesn't bother me at all. But I just thought the shoes were a bit much. But hey, I feel
like we're very similar. So here's my perspective. 100% agree with you when it comes to the poetic side of what he did.
Yeah.
For so long, regardless how people feel, this is just a truth in America that on the religious side, like the LGBTQ community has been like hugely scrutinized and prosecuted and just like judged and cast out.
Yep.
So for him, that to be his life, you know, I could only imagine being in a position to where like a big mass of the populace is like, you're a certain way, you can't help it. Well, burn in hell. Like,
yeah, you don't deserve to exist.
So as an artist, of course he's going to take his stance, and he took a real loud and bold stance with that video. If you haven't watched the video, it's pretty wild,
bro. And even just like I've seen so many people who don't know nothing about this man, don't
And
listen to no type of
yeah,
rap,
putting here.
but they're chiming in their thoughts on it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
So I totally see his artistic perspective. The video itself doesn't bother me at all because again, he's not obligated to please anybody. Now, as an artist, if you do have a big following that looks up to you, maybe you have some kind of social responsibility to be inspirational and motivational. But I also don't feel like he came on, like if he came on, like, you know, because he had the huge success of Old Town Road.
Yeah.
And if he just came out and started some real like
had a
racist,
couple-
hated, bigoted, yeah, he had some
had a
pretty
couple big
songs. But the fact that what I think it boils down to is that he basically, I think it's a big part of the outrage is a homophobia thing that still exists in America.
Absolutely.
Because we spoke about this earlier, like satanic imagery has been in media for decades.
Yeah, it's been in
Decades.
hip hop for a long time.
Yeah, it's been
too.
in hip hop. It's been in like death metal.
Yeah.
Literally, they're like album covers are like them wearing goat heads with pentagrams and
Yep.
flames, and that's never been this huge outcry or outrage.
Never.
But the like homosexual side of it is what really triggered people.
Yeah, so it's such a it's
Yeah,
crazy.
so I think that it boils down to that, and also it is really unfair because we've spoke about it with the cancel culture, but a lot of people who are part of cancel culture have very much so taken part in cancel culture.
Yeah.
And they're just being hypocritical and being
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, so
It is so crazy how so I've even seen some people who are like, live and let live and blah, 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 and love is love and blah, 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 but they're just outraged about this stuff that affects them in no way whatsoever.
Well, and so
But I will say that the one thing that is kind of nerve-wracking or jarring, I should say, is the fact that for the most part, Lil Nas X, his target audience has been kids.
yes.
So I'm like, for that, like, you don't need to.
Well, and that's why I bring up that social responsibility.
Yeah.
Because you do get to a point as an artist, like if that is your fan base, you have to take some accountability.
Yeah.
Because a lot of artists want to wash their hands of it. Like,
Right.
Hey, parents,
I
raise
know,
your-
bro.
like,
Raise your own damn kid,
So,
which is fair.
we know that is a fair argument, but at the same time, when you've tapped into that market, Old Town Road was. It stormed the nation
It broke records,
children, like that was like I remember watching videos of it getting played in school and kids dancing to it and stuff.
Yeah.
So there is a social responsibility. Like you do have all these eyes on you. Use it to because being real, I get where maybe he had the boil up moment where it was like, fine, I'm just gonna make this really crazy video and make my stance. Could there have been a more tactful way to do it? Absolutely. Yeah. He could have done it more tactful. I'm not going to knock him for how he did it, but that's where I teeter on that line. But to conclude my thoughts, so music video aside, it is what it is. He did his thing. The shoes were a little strange to me. The one thing, shoes don't bother me whatsoever. The only thing that does bother me is the drop of blood thing. And it's not because I even believe any of that type of stuff,
excessive.
but I just feel, I feel like it was like you made your point. Like to add a drop of blood, to add that extra little bit of like outrage and that extra little bit of like just because I do picture the very, very, very religious zealot type of person who's just very like overly passionate about the religion.
Yeah.
How they're interpreting that. To them, they're like, end of times, he's putting blood in his shoes.
I can't believe this is on my television.
Yeah. Which, though, in his defense also, he's not responsible for them either. Like, those guys should, like, take accountability for them.
See it. Why does it exist? I don't want to see it.
And even like the pentagram imagery, that doesn't even bother me on the shoe because, again, it has been in media for so long.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everywhere, and it's never been a problem. Again, death metal was almost based off of that theme.
And how they do the horns.
Hip hop.
Devil horns.
Which is
hip hop. How we were talking about
dabbled in it a
DMX.
lot.
Like he's had the Damien series, which are songs where he's like come in contact with the devil, and the devil's having him like murder people and do all this stuff, and he's like, trying his best to shake him, and then it becomes a whole thing. But him, Bone Thugs, I can't tell you how many of the horrorcore guys are, You know, like that's like a constant.
Oh
thing
yeah,
in horror
like
films.
ICP even and
Yeah.
things like that. Brother Lynch, like it's just it's selective outrage, and what really sucks is we're seeing it massively in today's era, but it's like a massive double standard.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is very much a double standard. Are you familiar with the word segue?
I've never a what now? Oh, is that like the thing like the mall cops ride on?
The segue?
Yeah, they ride on the. Yeah, Paul Blart has one.
You're serious right now.
Yeah.
Well, a segue is also. Gosh, okay, you didn't do that on purpose.
Yes, I did do that on purpose.
Oh,
Are you
okay.
kidding? Bro, we always call out our segues.
I was like, oh, are you familiar? I was
Like,
confused.
April Fools.
You got me because I was.
I like
really
how you legitimately. I like that I played dumb hard enough that you were wait. Like,
Yeah.
do you realize that we call out our segues constantly?
Yeah. Well, we didn't on the last episode.
Just
so
so
I
everybody
forgot
knows
about all the
that
times.
if you are tuning in and a new listener, that Jay and I are terrible.
New listener.
We segue a lot, and what's funny is we will do it seamlessly.
Transition.
But, yeah, we'll transition so well with our segue, but then we'll like shout ourselves out for doing it.
Because we can't believe we're doing this.
You did a segue.
But
Last topic of the show.
Yeah, the last topic is double standards.
I almost said segues. Last topic of the show is segues. Let's just talk about segues.
Double segues. Two segues.
Have you ever seen one segue? Well, picture two of them.
And segue into a segue.
Segwayception.
Segue, I didn't really care too much for that word until I seen how it's spelled, and it kind of like grew. I like because it's spelled not how it sounds. I was like, segue. That's
Quick question: is a segue the? Is it the
There
same
is
word?
a little.
Okay, the little.
Yeah. There is the devices that are almost like a scooter type
Okay,
thing.
that's what Paul Blart does. Right?
Yeah.
I'm very
Segue.
thrilled that you thought I didn't know what a segue was.
Yeah, you had me fooled. I like saying the word. I also like saying the word ubiquitous.
What was the other one you always say?
Acquiesce.
Acquiesce. That's a good one.
Well, it's acquiesce. I thought it was acquiesce.
You know what word I really like?
What?
Frackenstein.
That's not an actual word. You just made that up. But double standards.
Double standards.
Double
So,
standards.
one
That's
double-
obviously one you touched on. One great with the whole Lil Nas X thing. Like,
Yeah, that's what I.
people don't mind the Satan and the Satan imagery as long as you're not gay too.
Basically, yeah.
You know. So it's funny how with a lot of double standards, people tend to turn a blind eye until it affects. Like people only dislike the double standard. It seems like if they're on the wrong side of it. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're not benefiting from it.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, so I think that's something I learned about double standards a long time
And there's
ago.
also just a degree of ignorance to where people, we talk about this a lot. I always use vapid. I talk about people who have a very one-dimensional vapid line of thought to where they don't dissect a lot. They just are very content with, I like this, it benefits me, I enjoy it, it's good. Oh, this thing that you like, I don't like, so it's dumb.
Yeah.
And then the opposing side can be like, hey, but what you like is very similar to what I like. And they're like, you're an idiot, shut up. Like, that's where the double standard comes in. It's just like, that ain't fair. Like, why is mine prosecuted and yours is fine?
Yeah, it's like it's crazy. Like one thing you always see is like domestic abuse or like the R word. I'd rather not say it, but it rhymes with grape.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and obviously we know these things happen to women a lot, and it's like when it happens to a man, you're supposed to like. It's almost like that didn't.
A good double standard is in that line of conversation is Cardi B came out and was like bragging about drugging men and robbing them, and like some women were like,
Oh,
go,
get
girl,
that bag, girl.
exactly.
Get that money.
But could you
You
imagine?
gotta do what you gotta do to these men to get that money.
Yeah, but then could you imagine if it was flipped where some guy was like, yeah, I used to drug women and bring them to my house and I would like steal their money out of their purse.
He would be the scum of the earth.
Or
even like
never,
how like you see these things with teachers, like it'll be a attractive 25-year-old female teacher having a liaison with like a 15-year-old student,
and all the guys were like, where was this teacher when I was going to school?
The most common thing you hear.
Yeah.
And then it's like, but if it was the other way around, that dude is the most disgusting
Slime ball, sleazy.
slime ball. You need to move and change your identity. Like either way, if I have a child and that sort of thing was to happen, I would be very upset,
Yeah, absolutely.
regardless,
Yeah,
male or
no matter
female.
what.
I'm gonna be very upset with that because that adult took advantage of my child.
Also, on like the male female spectrum, you also have the dudes who just like have a lot of sexual activity with random partners.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, he's a
Yeah,
player. You go, bro. But
blah,
a
blah,
girl,
blah.
they're like, ew, what a slut.
Yeah, she's
that's
a
like one of the most.
skeezer.
Yeah, that's one of the most.
That's one of the top ones.
Yeah,
And I
the
don't
top double standards.
I don't get it, man. I think for
You got
me,
sluts and slut makers.
slut maker. A slut maker. I'm gonna have to post that video so people who are unfamiliar know where that term came from. But excuse me, too much barbecue. But yeah, man, that's one of them things. Like I did used to take part in that as when I was younger.
Oh,
like,
me too.
oh yeah, she gets aroused. She's a skeezer. But then it got to a point. It's like, well. Like one, you can't really judge somebody too much on that because if that was the case, some women could say that about me. Like, "Oh, Jay, you done been around. Don't touch me," you know. So I just kind of started thinking from that perspective, and like, I don't know. I think I definitely have like some places where I draw the line. Like,
With me, it's hard to believe that you even ever lost your virginity, to be honest.
well, you're sitting here. My son is right here, so.
That's what I'm saying. I'm astonished that that was even the one time is miraculous.
You're just mad because you've had like 7 girls leave you for me.
That was one time for a summer.
That was one time for the summer. It was like 2 weeks in between.
It wasn't 7 girls. It was 6.
But no, I just like it's kind of strange. Like I do think it's in terms of I never understand dudes asking that too and then getting upset when the girl answers.
Yeah, like in the relationship. How many guys you
How
been with?
many have you been with?
It's like
37.
The Chappelle.
Oh, you skeezer.
Ew.
Yeah, you're disgusting.
Yeah, the Chappelle show skit.
Yeah.
What's the nasty thing you ever done?
I mean, honestly, if that's about stuff like that is where I draw the line.
If a
girl told me she did all that, okay.
He goes, what, probably having sex with old gangbang over here.
Yeah, like that's about where I draw the line. Like, but if you were single and out here living life, like why would I was doing the same thing. Like I can't really judge you for that, so I don't know. As long as it ain't like you wasn't in no party, just lined up, dudes lined up, or getting Eiffel Towered or something.
No offense to any female who has had that.
Yeah,
happen.
and no offense to you, but I just don't want you. Like, I mean, it doesn't make you not a good person, or you like what you like.
So
it doesn't make you.
What if it was like a long, long time ago? Like, what if there was a girl who, in high school, like right out of high school, had like a one night evening with some gentlemen? Would that like condemn her for life?
Do they live where I live?
That would be a little weird.
Yeah, if they live where I live, yes. That is. I'm sorry, ma'am. This can't be nothing serious. And it's like somebody might say
both of them at the bar together when you're with your girlfriend.
Yeah, somebody might say, "Oh, that's just you being a fragile male," because this is the thing now: toxic masculinity and fragile male ego. It's like I really don't have no fragile ego at all. Like I can accept that.
Well, no, and it's also
she has a past.
It's 100% fair that you can that's just something that's a deal breaker.
Yeah,
for me.
exactly. Like like I'm not saying like I know you got a history and stuff happened before me, but certain stuff I'm just like if it's in your character to do that, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna look at you the same. And I could go and let's say it was 20 dudes. Oh. I could go anywhere, and one of them dudes is like
in a small town.
Like, so
he was there.
We live in a small town. Oh, you dating her? Oh, yeah. Back in, she was back in college. She was a wild one. She was a wild one. But so I don't know.
Another big area in today's era that we have double standards is politically.
Yes.
So people will pick their political party, their political side.
I've never seen so much, like up until this last 2 or 3 years, I've never seen people so in your face with their political allegiance.
Oh, no, and not only that, but like just blatant, obvious, like provable hypocrisy.
Yeah.
just this disgusting hypocrisy that you could factually show them, and there's like, nope, I still feel how I
Yeah,
feel.
nope, yeah, that's not gonna. Well, well, that's not. That doesn't. Then they move the goalpost, like for whatever.
Exactly, yeah, exactly.
You know?
Or it becomes a thing to where you'll be like, well, your guy did this. Obviously, the person you support did this obviously disgusting, vile, just trashy thing.
It's
and
like,
then,
well,
what
he-
about your guy?
Yeah.
Your guy did this, and I'm
So,
one of
oh,
those
you're
guys.
just gonna ignore that. Disgusting
Exactly. Yeah,
thing.
you're not gonna even try to say it didn't happen. You're gonna be like, yeah, it did happen, but your guy's gross too, which is the worst way to try to win an argument.
Exactly. It's whataboutism.
Yeah, yeah.
Like somebody we both know, I see this person. This person apparently leans towards the right on the political
Just a
spectrum.
little bit.
But it is always putting things, bashing the other side, but then had the nerve to put a meme up that was like, oh, so there's 3 different pictures of the United States. The first one is red, and it's like, this is what the Republicans want. And then the second one's blue. Is that right? Is that how it is?
Yeah, red is Republican, blue is
Yeah,
Democrat.
and then the blue is what the Democrats want, and then the third is like, this is what I want, and it's it's America with red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, that sounds great, bro. But weren't you just on here talking about Democrats are the most despicable
Yeah,
people
exactly.
in the scum of the earth and stuff?
I will say that was one of the most hilarious things recently politically, is you had, and I'm not going to even vilify either side because they both did it.
Yeah.
So actually, fuck it, I'll vilify both sides.
I don't. Mind.
Both sides were horrible at being like, so on the right side being like, the left is a disgusting parasite, they're scum, they're un-American, and then 15 minutes later in some speech, you'd be like, we are all Americans. We need to unite. Like, bro, you just called me scum 15 minutes ago. Like, I'm not trying to be your friend right now. You know,
Yeah, and it's crazy too, because one of my coworkers, he's a good dude, solid dude. I like him, and but it's like, and we've worked together. Let me see, I've been at my job for almost 10 years. He's been there. I think he's going on 8. Mm-hmm. And chill guy. He gets he has a temper and stuff, but for the most part, he's pretty chill and just goofy as hell. But ever since, he's real big into guns and stuff, and ever since he heard something about, I guess, Democrats doing gun control and taking guns or something, all of a sudden he's in line. He's got a political allegiance.
Yeah.
He's all just, everything turns into something about politics.
Which I hate in today's era.
And it's so weird, man, because he was saying he doesn't think, like, Jennifer Aniston came out and like bashed Donald Trump and like was basically saying she was a Democrat and all this, and The Rock came out and supported Joe Biden and stuff, and like he was obsessed with Jennifer Aniston for a long time, and like it's that one statement had him be like, oh no, fuck that bitch.
Yes, exactly. And that's scary.
It's crazy
to
man.
Celebritize your politician so much that you are like, what, like, I'm committed. Anybody who's against it,
he refuses to watch either movies from either of those two people anymore. Even though each of them are in some of his favorite movies, I'm like, that's crazy, bro. Like, how could you even, like, it doesn't make any sense. And then there's a company, a coffee company that he was a big fan of. He found out that they were against his side of the political spectrum, I guess, and was like, oh yeah, basically said, oh yeah, I don't think they should talk about that type of stuff, like when they're, you're an actor and blah blah blah. I'm like, well, bro, how is that any different than you, a rail car worker, talking about politics? Should you not, since you're like,
when I hear that argument, when an actor takes a political stance and they're like, oh, like, we don't want to hear your political stance, you're an entertainer. To me, what it sounds like is dance monkey. That's what it sounds like.
Shut up and dribble.
Exactly.
So it's exactly like, you're not an actual human. You're just here for our entertainment.
Exactly.
Don't have thoughts and opinions.
You're here to entertain me. Shut up.
Shut your mouth and dance for these dollars.
Yes.
So yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that is a huge double standard. And like, I think both sides are really guilty of it. I'm one of those people where I feel like I walk a pretty solid middle, but even that I feel is maybe not fully honest, because I think I am much more progressive. I want to say I'm one of those people where there's a specific side that necessarily is the opposite of progressive. That I'm just like, man, I don't see any scenario where I can rock with that side. Like,
I think I don't align with either
either do I.
political party, but I will say, in the literal sense of the word, I would say I am, like, my thought process and just who I am as a person is more liberal, and this has nothing to do with the political parties. It's just in terms of the way I think. Like, I'm open to new stuff. Look up the definition of liberal. Excuse me, I'm fucking up my words, but look up the definition of that, and you'll see, like, it's outside of politics. It basically means to just be open-minded and open to new experience outside of what tradition has been. So,
which is progressive, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's being progressive instead of being like, hey, because a lot of people get so used to the old way that any new introduction is like a war on that. Yeah, it's a war on.
Oh, they're ruining my country. The families ain't what they used to be.
Yeah, it's wild. So
they took our jobs. They took our jobs. Oh gosh, man, my freedom, it's my right. I'm not wearing a mask. Gosh, man, shut your bitch ass up.
Damn. It really is wild, bro, because I think we can trail off the topic of double standard, but it all goes hand in hand. But that's where it starts becoming even topics like what you were just joking about are such good points, because you start having people who I know people who get angry at other people for wearing masks. So they, even if they don't wear one, and it's so like, man, weird. Who cares? Like, it's fine. Like even if you can totally be the person who's like, I think it's a conspiracy, I think it's fake, do what you want. Mm-hmm. But then when you see the person who's minding their own business wearing their mask, mind you, this is a person who's not being like, put your mask on. They just exist with a mask on, and they you're mad at them. Or it's
my whole thing is like, I just try to. If I'm going in an establishment and they have a sign that says mask required, I'm gonna put my mask on just because I'm not a dick. Like,
see, and my thing is, regardless of where people stand, is one. So in the line of work that I'm in, it's through like the health department. They're very much like you guys. I'm considered a frontline worker because I'm out in the community with my clients and whatnot.
In the community.
So in that vein, masks by the health department are like. Yeah, like wear your mask. Yeah. So we enforce it as well as we can. And then also with that, I think about the scenario. I had an argument on Facebook with somebody about this. They were talking about a store that made it a policy. Like, you had to wear your mask. Yeah. And people were freaking out and just all that. And I just kind of came in and defended the store in the context of, say somebody comes in, this is a store, there's an owner to the store, multiple employees, all these people involved in the store, this is how they pay their bills. One person comes in without a mask and has COVID, contaminates it, a staff is contaminated, the entire store quarantines for 2 weeks, doesn't open anymore. You have, let's say, 15 people who are now, let's even make it bigger, say it's a restaurant. You have 50, 60 people who now can't go to work for 2 weeks. It's just those simple things.
And it's so selfish to just not even to disregard all of what you just said. Like, it's so selfish to just be like, when all you gotta do, put a little thing on your face, 15 minutes. You're in and out. Forget
just real quick.
Like, it's not.
And I've seen both sides. Like, the argument. I saw the comedian Nate Bargatze. I brought him up before, but he was talking about the two ends of the spectrums with his friends. Yeah. He goes, I have friends that literally like won't leave their. He's like, they wear their mask at home. He goes, the way like, I have a hamster. My hamster might have COVID.
Oh,
he goes, then I have friends who I'm pretty sure haven't even heard of COVID. He goes, I don't think they know what it is. Like, and I very much relate, because I have friends that, if they're listening to this, like, no offense to you, but I have friends who truly are like, it's propaganda, it's fake, it's a conspiracy. Okay, you're a sheep if you wear it and all that stuff. And then I have friends who are very much like in the line of us that I'm like, man, like, It's a simple thing to do
like it's
to protect
not. I don't
people.
like them. Like it's not.
Yeah, I don't
fun
like wearing
putting
my
them on,
mask,
but it's like
I don't like it, but it's.
if more of us had dealt with this, we might not still be in the predicament.
And I also even would more so say lean on the side of like I don't know how serious this is, and I know a big thing people bring up is like the survival rate of it and everything. I have
Well, the thing is, we don't know what the long term effects of
exactly
it are,
that is true. And on top of that, I have a buddy of mine, a great friend of mine, who got COVID, and they quote unquote told me that when they were sick, that he literally was like, I felt like I was dying. So much so that he said he left his front door unlocked in case he died in his sleep when he had COVID. And that was the stuff that like even at the time I hadn't been taking it hyper serious, and then I was like,
me neither.
like okay, like oh whoa, like somebody I personally know was like, I left my door unlocked because I was scared I'd die in my sleep. And that was enough to be, man, like, that's got to be serious enough to. And then that person, like, and other people went on to tell me that they're like in the after effect of it and just everything. So I just feel like, man, like you might as well just take the small step of. In my mask that I wear, I'm sure you've seen me wear them, but they're scarves I wear around my neck, and that way I'm that guy. I match it with my outfit, so I have multiple ones, and then I'll pull it over my face when I walk in the store. It's the simplest thing in the world.
Yeah, fashionista.
Ooh, my mask is fancy. Mask by Gucci.
Yeah, Gucci. So you got $1,000 COVID mask?
I got a diamond crested, just a rhinestone COVID mask.
Oh gosh! All right,
Yeah,
well,
so
yeah,
I like how we just say we always got to just go off on some sort of tangent.
Something. Yeah, I'm actually kind of tired now. So
am I. All right, so we're gonna end the episode. So you are once again tuned into another episode of the Young Old Heads podcast. This is a hip hop centric podcast where we talk a little bit about everything and a lot about nothing. I did it on purpose.
Yeah, that one works though, and you didn't even let us say our names again.
You got to let me finish.
Okay.
I am Nicholas Fletcher.
I am Iron Man.
You're so stupid. You're so stupid.
I'm Jaquan Davis.
All right, y'all. Yeah, you have a good night. Last thing we will touch on really quick. If you guys are struggling out there, please reach out. That when it comes to mental health, addiction, anything, talk to somebody. Somebody, literally. And this sounds cliche, broken record. I'm going to just be real with you 100%. You will not get better if you lock yourself away and succumb to all these things. You need to get out and talk to somebody. It is an absolute. So I implore you to do so.
Factual.
So, and prayers for DMX. We don't know by the time this episode airs what'll happen, but just
hoping he pulls through,
hoping
man.
for the best. So, peace and love, many blessings. Bye.
Peace.